Hi, I'm Ben Mankiewicz. We're bringing you films John Ford made while he was an officer in the Navy during World War II. Joining me once again is our guest, Mark Harris, an author and film historian. Mark's book, Five Came Back, details Ford's life and work in the Navy. Welcome back, Mark.
Thanks.
Up next, a film that toes the line between information and propaganda, sometimes unsuccessfully. But it's also a rare movie to star John Ford. From the U.S. government's Office of Strategic Services, it's How to Operate Behind Enemy Lines. I love this movie. I'm not going to tell you it's great, but I love this movie, and I think people will like watching it. What is it?
Well, it's really fun to look at this movie. First of all, it's a great little historical document because more than the big famous propaganda movies of World War II, this is the kind of movie that these filmmakers were tasked with making. Kind of short, to the point, punchy, Hollywood-style instructional movies about really specific things.
For servicemen, for the people who needed to take in this information, not for the general public.
Exactly, and it's also this great little glimpse of Ford himself, who, for reasons known only to him, decided that he would take an on-camera role in this more scripted than usual version of an Army instructional movie.
Yeah, he's got a couple of scenes. He's plays essentially what was then an OSS, but a CIA analyst, officer, case officer, who is instructing a new recruit on how to handle his business in enemy territory.
Right, and Ford wasn't one of those directors like Hitchcock who would stick himself in every movie, so it's all the more surprising to see him show up in this.
What I like about it is the guy he's training is, you'll see in the film, they contrast two recruits. One who's diligent and does his job and takes it seriously, and another who's like, oh, I got this, I'll wing it when I get there, right?
Right, and this is something you see in movies from this period over and over again. The positive example, the negative example.
But what I like is that we know what a taskmaster Ford was and how tough he was on his casts and crew. And yet, here's this sort of, you know, insolent recruit with a terrible attitude, and Ford's like, well, I like his gusto. And you just know that if Ford were directing this guy in life, the kid would be sobbing on the set of the film.
Right, I mean, Ford did have this avuncular side, and if there was someone who was sort of weak or vulnerable on a set, you never know. You never knew whether he would be a bully, which Ford often was.
Or a kindly uncle.
Right.
I'm curious why Ford put himself in the movie, and I know you can't answer that specifically, but he did play a spy in it, and he liked to think of himself as a spy.
He did, and I think Ford also had a bit of a sense of fun about this. I mean, you know, he loved getting around regulations, not doing things strictly by the book, although he was also a real stickler for ceremony in some other ways as well. So I think maybe Ford sticking himself in the movie was just a way to kind of almost throw a wink to his colleagues in Hollywood and say, hey, I'm doing this, and I'm relaxed enough to be having the time of my life doing it.
The movie's valuable on a lot of levels. I don't think it's valuable if you're training yourself to be a spy.
I think that's true.
Yeah, that's probably the only way it's not a success. Here it is from 1943 with John Ford directing, producing, and, as we said, even acting. How to Operate Behind Enemy Lines.